So you're thinking about moving to San Antonio in 2023? Today we're going to talk about the top 5 pros and cons about moving to San Antonio this year. Let's get after it.
Hey, what's up, friends? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. My name is Jonathan.
I'm Trevor.
And we are your Alamo City living team. On this channel, we talk about everything that you want to know about living in San Antonio and the entire metro area. We're also licensed real estate agents here in San Antonio, which means not only do we enjoy making videos for you guys, we would love even more to help you with all of your real estate purchase needs. So please feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, and we would love to help you and your family make a smooth move here to San Antonio. All right, guys, we're going to get right into it with our first pro, and that is San Antonio's central location. As you know, Texas is a huge state. It can take you 14 to 16 hours to drive from one side to the other. So if you're moving to San Antonio and your job requires you to travel the state of Texas, then being located right here in San Antonio is a huge pro for you. We're only about an hour and a half south of Austin, maybe 3.5 hours away from Houston, 4 hours south of Dallas. And if you like going to the beach, my family loves South Padre Island every summer. We're only about 4 hours away from that.
Yeah, absolutely. The beach here, if you're coming from California, I won't lie to you, it may not be up to your standards, but it's a beach nonetheless, and honestly, it gets the job done, man. That being said as well, if you move somewhere like, say, El Paso or Dallas, Amarillo, somewhere up towards the edge of Texas, you're going to be looking at driving, like my partner said, for 9, 10, 11, sometimes 12 hours. It's kind of ridiculous. At that point, you're better off just taking a flight because it's going to end up saving you money in the long run.
Now, if you're transferring here or moving here and you're still a member of the Army Reserves or another branch of the service's reserve unit, a lot of the units are going to be located in a large city like San Antonio or Houston. Now, I was in the Army Reserves, and I had people driving way out from El Paso to drill here in San Antonio, and it took a very long time to make that drive. So if Texas is, the destination for you, and you are in the reserves, and you're like, man, I don't want to make a long commute, well, San Antonio is going to be a perfect city for you to live in because a lot of your units and things like that can be right here in town.
Absolutely. Man, this is crucial if you're moving from out of state and you have a family and you have young kiddos. You got to have stuff for them to do. And the good news is that San Antonio has tons of places and tons of parks and theme parks and tons of activities that are all family friendly. We have things like Fiesta Texas, SeaWorld. We have parks, local parks that the city has made, and they put them strategically everywhere throughout the city. So they're pretty accessible regardless of where you move in San Antonio.
And guys, if your family loves the outdoors, you're really close to some awesome outdoor activities. We're only about 45 minutes away from New Braunfels, where you can float the Guadalupe and the Comal River. That is a very popular destination for locals and tourists alike in the summer to throw in your tube on the river and just take all the time you want to float the river. People hook up ice chests and bring their drinks and stuff. It's just an awesome place to hang out in the summer.
And it's a big thing here. If you come from out of state and you hear someone saying, hey, we're going to go floating this weekend, that's what they're talking about. So don't be caught off guard if somebody asks you to go floating. It's a great time.
All right, guys, pro number 3, San Antonio is very veteran friendly.
Very.
With over 200,000 service members that leave the military each year, it's important to a lot of veterans that they live in a place that is able to take care of all of their needs when it comes to their health care and where their money is going to stretch the furthest. Of course, San Antonio has a lower cost of living than other major cities in the country, and many veterans are surprised when they move here how far their dollar goes. There's, of course, some very amazing state benefits for veterans as well, the most important being property taxes. If you're receiving VA compensation for disability, then you may have all, if not a portion, of your property taxes eliminated, which is really, really good news for a lot of veterans. There are multiple VA healthcare facilities spread out all over San Antonio. It doesn't really matter where you live in San Antonio, you're always going to be within very close driving distance of one of these facilities.
And whether you're retired or you're thinking about retiring soon, or maybe you're still active duty, it's important to live somewhere that has a community that actually supports you. It's a very strong support system in here in San Antonio for veterans. Coming in at number 4, we have cost of living. It's one of the elephants in the room that not a lot of people want to address, but it's a big factor when people decide to move to San Antonio from anywhere else in the United States. San Antonio has about a 9% lower than average cost of living from most major cities in the United States, according to PayScale. That being said, we have tons of people who are moving here from around the country. Your cost of living is going to be an average about 38% lower than what you're going to spend in California. Housing in general is going to cost you about 67% less. And that's, I mean, man, that's truly stretching your dollar, making it work for you.
Now, one thing that people are very surprised, though, even when they're moving from a more expensive state like New York or California, is our property taxes. Now, Texas, we do have pretty high property taxes. San Antonio, our property taxes can be pretty high. And we can get into that in another video, or when you guys give us a call and you want to know more, we'll talk about it. But yes, we do have some pretty high property taxes. So that is something that you are going to want to know, just so you're not caught off guard. Lower cost of living, but we have some pretty high property taxes. All right, guys, to wrap up our pros with number 5 is the economy here in San Antonio. Our economy here in San Antonio continues to be solid. We have a very diverse economy base here in San Antonio. Bioscience, technology, IT, medical.
Medical's big, man.
Medical's big here. Of course, our military bases, really big here. It's really evident that our economy continues to do well. Just driving around, you can see it because communities continue to grow. Everywhere you look, there's growth, highway growth, community growth. It's everywhere. People are still flooding in from all over the country to San Antonio. Jobs continue to go up. Our unemployment rate continues to go down. This just continues to be a great place for people to live and work.
And I think you kind of touched on it. I mean, just the new construction alone for homes, man, everywhere, especially in the west side, northwest side, the expansion is ridiculous. The more you go out here, it's like neighborhoods are new neighborhoods are popping up every single day. And it's incredible, really, when you think about it. You can look at it on paper all you want, but until you get out here and you actually see the way everything looks and how quickly things are going up, it really doesn't hit you till you see it in person. So we got a chance to tell you a little bit about the pros, but the bottom line is that not everything is sunshine and rainbows. So now we're gonna go straight into the cons. Insects. If you haven't been to Texas before, you're probably going to be caught off guard by the alarming amount of insects. You good, man?
I was getting bit right now.
Yeah, that's one thing, guys. The mosquitoes here are the size of small birds. So if you have children, make sure that you have your hand on them at all times. No, I'm just playing. No, don't. No.
They won't quite carry them off.
No, man.
They're pretty big.
They're big.
Now, if you're moving from Colorado, this is going to be a shock to you because you don't encounter nearly as many biting insects in Colorado as you do in Texas. I know when I lived in Colorado, you could walk around with your shoes and socks off in the grass and you didn't have anything to worry about. But here, you are going to have to wear your shoes. Now, when we're talking about buying a home, especially new construction, it's imperative that you get pest control, both for the interior and exterior of your home.
Very, very important.
I know when my family first moved here to San Antonio, we bought a brand new home, new construction, and we dealt with scorpions. Never seen a scorpion in my life until we bought a house here in San Antonio, and they're everywhere. And so it's very, very important that you get that pest control to take care of all those insects that are going to be stirred up with the ground being moved around and stuff like that. All right, guys, con number 2, and a huge pet peeve for me, and that is feeder roads, also known as access roads. Now, every state doesn't have feeder roads and access roads, and for local Texans, they don't really understand that. Here in Texas, we have these roads that run parallel to the highway called feeder roads, and that's just what they are. They feed vehicles on and off of the highway. And so if you miss an on-ramp, you might have to drive quite a ways, or if you miss a business that you're trying to go to that's off of the feeder road, you might have to drive quite a ways to turn around, come back down the other side of the highway, and do this whole loop-de-loop to get to where you're going.
Yeah.
It can be very frustrating.
100%.
All right, guys, the number 4 con of living in San Antonio is, of course, the summer heat. It can be pretty brutal. This past summer, we went weeks in the triple digits. I even took a short trip down to Arizona, and normally Arizona feels way hotter than Texas, but when I was in Arizona, it really felt the exact same. It was pretty hot.
It's bad. There were some days that we had, we was triple digits every single day. And I don't mean like 101, 102. No, man, we were up to like 110, 115. It was brutal. And a lot of people say, "Oh, it's not the heat that gets you, it's the humidity." Man, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
If you've experienced the dry heat and then you've experienced a humid heat, people will tell you how big of a difference that it makes. I mean, you walk outside of your house and your brand new clothes that you just took out the dryer are already wet again because you're already sweating. It's disgusting.
Now, one of the things that you want to consider when you're purchasing a home is to get irrigation in your yard. The heat will just completely destroy your yard. You don't want to be out there with just your little hose and one of those little sprinklers that you have to move around all over the yard. You're going to want irrigation in your yard to really keep it healthy.
Absolutely. And again, if that's something you don't care about and you don't care about the yard, then I guess that's a pro for you. But if you want to have a nice yard, right, if you go into dad mode and you break out the New Balance 504s, right, and the jean shorts and you're ready to cut the grass, just be ready and be prepared because you're going to have to put more muscle into it. You're going to have to put more work into it in order to keep your yard looking good. Con number 4, guys, endless road construction. It seems like no matter where you go in San Antonio, especially on the highways, you're going to run into some kind of road construction. There's no way around it. We touched on it earlier with the way the city's expanding. It's inevitable that you're going to run into some form of road construction, whether it be expanding the highway, they're adding new neighborhoods, new construction, and it gets to be a pain in the butt. So that being said, you have to plan your trip accordingly and just expect that you're at some point during your trip, you're probably going to be stuck for just a minute or two.
Now, the city is expanding north and northwest predominantly at an astonishing rate. Outside of the 1604 loop, there's just so much growth. I know that when I moved here 12 years ago, I mean, there was really nothing outside of the 1604 loop, and now it's just unbelievable, but it continues to grow. And so the infrastructure, in a lot of ways, really hasn't caught up, right? A lot of people have moved out in these areas, but the roads and highways have not expanded, and they're doing that now. And so it just makes for a lot of road construction. It can be very frustrating. You can see how great it's going to make the area once it's complete. But those who are moving here now are really having to deal with that construction, which can add, time to your commute, depending on where you work and things like that.
It's not a deal breaker, guys. Again, at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it whenever the city is caught up to the expansion rate that we're currently in. But until that point, it's just something that you're probably going to have to deal with as well.
All right, guys, the last con of living in San Antonio is the crime. We're going to touch on crime. Now, you might be asking, why would you be bringing up crime as a realtor who's trying to sell houses in San Antonio? The fact of the matter is, we want to be honest, we want to be transparent. And, as fathers and as husbands, we want to know when we're moving to a different place, what is the crime rate like?
100%. It's no secret, right? And that's something that I think a lot of people kind of dance around whenever they talk about a city or they're trying to get people to move to their city. We're not here to beat around the bush, guys. I mean, this is something, it's important. Like you said, we're both fathers. We both have families. It's important to us, so we feel like it should be probably important to you if you're going to move to a city.
Now, according to crimegrade.org, San Antonio received a rating of C- when it comes to crime. Ouch. Now, a lot of people might suggest because of that C- rating, San Antonio is an unplace safe to live and work. Now,
It's an unsafe place.
An unsafe place?
Yeah. Said unplace safe.
Unplace safe? A lot of people might suggest that San Antonio is an unsafe place to live and work. And we personally don't feel that is the case. I've lived in San Antonio for 12 years with my family. I've lived in multiple places here in San Antonio. I've never experienced any personal crime towards me or towards my family.
Yeah, guys, I'm born and raised here, right? I've lived here my whole life. I can also say I don't feel unsafe. I've lived in several different areas of town as well. You're probably wondering, man, you guys are realtors. Why are you going to even bring this up? Our job is to be transparent with you and to be upfront and be honest. And if we haven't done that, we haven't done our jobs.
Like every major city, San Antonio is the 7th largest city in the country. And like every other major city, you're going to have pockets of town that are unsafe. San Antonio is no different. There are areas here in San Antonio neighborhoods in San Antonio that have higher crime rates than others. But by and large, the majority of San Antonio is a very safe and welcoming place to live.
I agree.
All right, guys, there you have it. The 5 pros and cons of living in San Antonio. We hope that this was helpful for you guys as you consider moving here to the Alamo City.
Absolutely, guys. And again, we are realtors. So whether you plan on moving in the next few weeks, the next few months, don't hesitate to reach out. We're going to drop a link in the description below. If you'd like to call us, text us, email us, don't hesitate. We are the people who actually respond. Guys, we look forward to seeing you in the next one.